In 1978, the sociologist Neil Postman released his groundbreaking book, Amusing Ourselves to Death. Postman wasn't lamenting the death of literature per se, but rather, he was dissecting a cultural shift, how the dominance of television and visual media was reshaping public discourse and diminishing the attention span required for serious reading. Today, his insights resonate even more profoundly as we grapple with an age dominated by smartphones, streaming platforms, and algorithm-driven social media. Why then has reading, a cornerstone of intellectual growth and cultural heritage, become such an anomaly? Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death begins with a stark observation. We were keeping our eye on 1984, when the year came and the prophecy didn't. Thoughtful Americans sang softly in praise of themselves. The roots of liberal democracy had held. Wherever else the terror had happened, we at least had not been visited by Orwellian nightmares. But Postman argued that another dystopia had crept in, one foretold by Aldous Huxley in Brave New World. Unlike Orwell's vision of an authoritarian state that bans books, Huxley warned of a society where people simply no longer cared to read them. Postman examined how the shift from a print-based culture to a television-based one reduced our capacity for critical thinking. He described how reading demands focus, reflection, and a linear mode of processing information. Television, on the other hand, is nonlinear, designed to entertain rather than educate. Television speaks in only one persistent voice, the voice of entertainment, he wrote. The patterns Postman identified have only intensified in the digital era. Social media platforms, with their endless scrolls of dopamine-driven content, magnify the trends he warned about. The book has been supplanted not only by the TV screen, but by countless smaller screens, each vying for our fragmented attention. Think about the last time you read a book cover to cover. For many, it has been months, if not years. The convenience of short-form videos and quick content updates often wins out over the sustained commitment that reading requires. Postman's work has been further supported by contemporary studies on digital media. The concept of continuous partial attention, popularized by technology researcher Linda Stone, echoes Postman's concern about the fragmented nature of modern engagement. Stone describes how our brains, constantly bombarded by notifications, updates, and stimuli, struggle to engage deeply with any one activity, including reading. The linear narrative of a book requires immersion, a skill that digital media trains us to avoid. The average smartphone user checks their device over 100 times a day. Each interaction pulls our focus in a new direction, making it harder to concentrate on tasks that require sustained mental effort. This phenomenon isn't just anecdotal. Neuroscientists have found that the brain's ability to focus diminishes with constant exposure to digital media. The result? A society that struggles to process complex ideas, articulate nuanced arguments, or reflect deeply on personal and social issues. Postman noted this trend early on, writing, "A mode of communication can be like a metaphor, suggesting what we can know and how we can know it. In a world where quick, visual content dominates, the slow and deliberate act of reading begins to feel alien. People become accustomed to snippets of information, tweets, headlines, captions, rather than the detailed and layered analysis that books provide." Postman warned that the decline of a reading culture has profound social consequences. Print-based media, he argued, fosters rational discourse. In a literate society, individuals learn to evaluate arguments, analyze evidence, and engage in sustained reflection. Without these skills, public discourse risks becoming superficial, driven by emotion rather than reason. Today's polarized media landscape exemplifies this danger. Postman's assertion that the public has adjusted to incoherence and been amused into indifference feels eerily prophetic in an era of clickbait headlines and viral misinformation. The decline of reading has also contributed to the erosion of empathy. Books offer us a window into other lives, cultures, and experiences, fostering a sense of connection and understanding. When we lose the habit of reading, we lose this bridge to empathy, making it easier to retreat into echo chambers and dismiss perspectives different from our own. Moreover, the decline of a reading culture impacts education and the workforce. Critical thinking and analytical skills, once honed by reading, are in short supply. Employers report a growing skills gap, with young professionals struggling to communicate effectively, solve complex problems, or adapt to new challenges. These deficits aren't just professional liabilities, they're societal ones. Despite these trends, Postman's work is not without hope. He believed that understanding the problem was the first step toward reclaiming a culture of depth and meaning. They are not just vessels of information, but tools for shaping our minds, building empathy, and connecting us to the broader human experience. Efforts to counteract this trend are emerging. Initiatives like slow reading movements and book clubs aim to restore the value of deep engagement. Educators are incorporating digital detox practices into curricula, encouraging students to rediscover the joys of undistracted learning. Some organizations are even designing tech-free reading spaces, promoting an environment where focus and reflection can thrive. The rise of audiobooks and ebooks also offers some optimism. While not identical to traditional reading, these formats make literature more accessible to those who struggle to find time for physical books. However, the question remains, can these formats deliver the same cognitive and emotional benefits as traditional reading? And will they encourage a return to deep, sustained engagement? Neil Postman's insights remain as vital today as when he first wrote them. Amusing ourselves to death is not just a critique of television or a lament for lost traditions, it's a call to action. It challenges us to rethink our relationship with media, to question what we prioritize, and to rediscover the intellectual and emotional richness that only books can provide. So, as we navigate this age of distraction, we must ask ourselves, are we willing to reclaim the art of reading? What might we gain if we do? By committing to the act of reading, we stand to cultivate deeper understanding, richer empathy, and sharper critical thinking skills. Let's start that conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and consider diving into Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death. You'll find the link in the description. In the end, reclaiming the habit of reading isn't just about nostalgia for a bygone era. It's about equipping ourselves to thrive in a complex, fast-changing world. As Postman's work reminds us, books are more than just words on a page. They're a gateway to understanding ourselves and the world around us. Let's not lose sight of that.